Alright. Alright, we is live. We is live. We is live. ¿Por qué tan tarde? This is the story of my life. Story of my life, honestly. It's like it's like the whole world runs in a different time zone and I'm just in a It's a miracle I've made it this far. Alright, people, alright. Inna alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulih al-Mustafa wa ala ibadi alladhina irtada wa man bihudahu mihtada wa bi athari ahli al-Madinah iqtafa wa ba'd. Fassalamu Allahi ala al-qawm. Ahlan wa sahlan bikum wa marhaban. Juan Ying Leitze, bienvenidos a todos, people, a esta lección. Bakhair Ragle, Khushamadid, and Swagatam. Alright, Anis G is in the house. Ahlan wa sahlan. Right, so let me just check this is okay. You know, for the last few weeks in a row, the Facebook had been playing up. I don't know what had been going on. So if there are any issues, just let me know if you guys can't hear me or if anything. Because last week I was speaking away and then I was just told, oh, none of you guys could actually, I disconnected. Alright, let me check. Alright, so I'm just about to share this. Right. Alright, that's done. So what is going on, people? What is going on? What? Alright. See, I've got to kind of really zoom in. The writing seems to have become microscopic. So, ahlan wa sahlan bikum, right, all the way from the USA, Ibrahim, ahlan wa sahlan. Abdul Karim, you're doing it. Somebody saying, when did you start working out? Yes, Salam, started working out many years ago, but I suppose it's a journey, like all things. It's a journey. Right, so what is going on, people? What is going on? You just, un momento. Right, I'm sure I have my tea right here. So, what has been going on? First of all, let's just say that the mayhem regarding Brexit, people. The mayhem regarding Brexit. What is going to become of the UK? I mean, it's just, wow, honestly. So today, Theresa May presented her Plan B, which I'm not quite sure how it was a Plan B. It was just like, okay, so the Plan B is that we won't extend Article 50 and what was the factor? And we won't go for a second referendum as far as she's concerned. And that's it. Oh, and by the way, there was a £60-something tariff for people wanting to apply about their status. We're going to waive that. Okay. All right, so that's your grand solution to the problem. Shabash. Bravo. So that's what's going on here, people. Right, that's what's going on. I'm telling you, it's mayhem. I, for one, am hoping that they're going to maybe, I don't know, come back with, they're going to have to put the vote to the people. Let the people, democracy, this is democracy, you know, the vote of the people, for the people, by the people. Janta ka demand hai, janta ka demand. That we ought to have the vote put back to us. So that's Brexit. Nothing interesting there. Theresa is still stuck in the in the mess that she's a part of. That, to be fair, she inherited the mess from David Cameron, the prat, for messing up. I know. Let's give the country a referendum. That's what you get. You know, that's like, they'll never do it. Watch. Yeah. And then you inherit this kind of a mess. Anyway, so that's in terms of news for the UK. What else is going on, people? Well, we've had this, who are the people? The people in this case are the British people. But the people, right, so, right, Muhammad Aslam, Pir Viqar, Ahlan wa Sahlan, Ahlan wa Sahlan, all the way from Kashmir, people, all the way from Kashmir, doing some great work, by the way, some humanitarian efforts in Jammu and Kashmir, that Kashmir, that side of the border, you know, where there's a struggle. So if you ever want to get involved in some humanitarian work, that's your guy right there, Pir Viqar. Reach out to him, inshallah. Right, so Imran Khan, Ahlan wa Sahlan, is that the NYC, the guy Imran who popped down, or is that another Imran? Right, so Ma'am, the Bible states the earth is flat. Well. Is that so, huh? The Bible. Abdul Ghani al-Dikkar, ما رأيك عن الشيخ Abdul Ghani al-Dikkar, مطيع الرحمن. Sheikh Abdul Ghani al-Dikkar is who I like to consider from amongst my teachers. He's he's passed away many, when I say many years ago, probably, maybe over a decade ago or something like that. So he, I met him in Damascus many years ago. Probably, I don't know, it may have been something like 2002 or something like that. But I met him there. It was the Masjid where I used to go to read my Quran. So basically what had happened is I memorized the Quran in Pakistan, and then I wanted to read it to a Sheikh in Damascus and gain an ijaza, an unbroken transmission, a chain going back to the Prophet in the Quran. So I went back to Damascus for a second time and spent a few months there, probably about 3 months or so, 3 to 4 months. And during that time, I had to find a Sheikh and then read the whole Quran to him from memory. So I found this Sheikh, and in this masjid, Sheikh Abdul Ghani al-Dikkar, who is a major, he was a don, people, of Arabic grammar. This guy, you know, I've got a book about him somewhere, but it's over there. I can't really pull it out now. It's just a small kind of booklet book, but it's got his photograph on it. To be fair, the photo's a bit freaky. Because, you know, he's got that kind of like, because I suppose he's a bit old, and you know, he's kind of like staring into and he's got I think blue eyes, so he's just staring into the thing, and it looks a bit freaky. But the guy, he wouldn't mind me saying that, because the guy had an awesome sense of humor. I gotta say, I've never met a sheikh. First of all, you seldom meet shuyukh with a good sense of humor anyway. That's already a rarity. But then to meet somebody so mature in age, so he must have been, when I met him, he must have been maybe in his late 60s, presumably, maybe 70, late 60s, probably 70. You know, he was an old man. He wasn't, he was an old, not totally frail, but borderline, you know, so. But he had a sense of humor, the guy, honestly, and he cracking jokes, and he had this other kind of sidekick with him all the time in the masjid. So they used to just come and chill out in the mosque, and So I ended up talking to them. I used to have a fascination with grammar, so we developed a kind of friendship. And that's it really. I used to ask him all kinds of discussions, and but he was an amazing person. Ask him things, he would explain them. But yeah, so may Allah elevate his maqam in Jannah. Obviously he passed away long before all these crises that occurred in Syria, so he never really saw any of that as far as I'm aware. But khair, may Allah grant ease to anybody wherever they are suffering. Cool, people. So what else? Right, can you explain why we don't see historic heritage in the city of Medina, while in Baghdad, Istanbul, El Cairo we see a lot of interesting historic infrastructure? Right, that's an interesting question. The city of Medina, Madinatul Rasul or Madinatul Nabi, it's called the city of the messenger, of the prophet. You see, after Uthman radiallahu anhu's time, the caliphate, if we can call it caliphate, I've put up a clip, by the way, on YouTube where I'm asked a question about caliphate or kingdoms, that early Muslim rule. What was it? Were they caliphates? Were they kingdoms? So it's worth a listen. I mean, it's probably about 20 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's definitely, I would advise you, if you're interested in the topic, do check it out. According to me, this whole thing, caliphate per se, that there is no such thing, there are no Sahih Hadith regarding caliphate, because this whole notion could not have existed. It is a post-prophetic notion, an entity, an idea, because the Arabs never even had the word khilafah like the way we use it today. So for the Prophet to have been speaking about a khilafah makes no sense. It's just like if you, I don't know, if you got a, let's just say you found some articles of somebody or some writing of somebody historic, or even if they're in the recent past, but if you found something of, I don't know, let's say Churchill, Winston Churchill, or Abraham Lincoln, or anybody speaking about Facebook, for example, that doesn't add up, because there is no Facebook, and they wouldn't even understand what Facebook is, and so they wouldn't understand what the internet, for example. So if you've got them speaking about the internet, well, you know that this can't be. So in the same way, Khilafah is an understanding that Muslims came up with after the Prophet had passed. So for the Prophet to have been speaking about Khilafah makes no sense, or using this word in that sense. So I hope, so there is another explanation. One explanation could be that maybe the people narrating this have then, that maybe the Prophet said something, but the people transmitting it afterwards are reconstructing it through their understanding of the world at that time. So in their day and age, because a khilafah had existed, so they're superimposing that onto the words of the Prophet. That's possible, but once again, the whole thing is no longer so stable. But I've got that on there. So, right, yes, so Uthman. With Uthman, radiallahu anh, having passed away, the caliphate or the rulership or all of the politics moved from Medina, never to return to Medina or to the Hijaz, generally. Maybe to Makkah, one could argue with Abdullah ibn Zubayr later on, but never in a proper sense. Okay, so because politics left Medina, nobody really invests in a city unless it's the capital city, you understand? So Medina was just left as a spiritual kind of hub, an Islamic base where people lived, scholars lived, but apart from scholars and ilm and the city of the Prophet and the Masjid of the Prophet, it really didn't have much. It wasn't like a booming business enterprise. It's obviously right down in Arabia. It's not on some major kind of road to kind of like for commerce and things like that. So therefore, It was just left to itself. Okay, and that's why you don't see any major historic heritage or relics in that sense, like infrastructure from Medina. Okay, because there is nothing beyond the Prophet's mosque. Omar, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. We've got Billy's in the house. All right. Somebody's asking if the word Khalifa already existed. I don't see how Khilafah is anachronistic. Oh, rather. Well, I do beg to differ. How is this anachronistic, one may presume? Right, so the Khilafah... Alright. You see, Khilafah, you've got to understand something. The Arabic word Khilafah and Khalifa are not made up. They existed in the time of the Prophet. Nobody's saying the word Khalifa didn't exist in the time of the Prophet, but it didn't mean what it means today. You understand? So like the word mobile exists in the English language. So mobile means to move around. Now, if you had a letter from, I gave as an example, let's say Einstein. If we found some of Einstein's writings, and in his writings he's using the word mobile, he can't be referring to mobile phones, because that's anachronistic. They do not exist in his time. But the word does exist. It carries a different meaning, which is linked to the meaning that we've then created for mobile phones. So Khalifa in the Prophet's time, as an Arabic word, meant something that comes afterwards. So as an Arabic word, I could say that this thing is a Khalifa. So one could say, for example, spring is a Khalifa to winter, because spring comes after winter, it succeeds it. This is what the word Khalifa simply meant. Hence Adam was a Khalifa, and it's wrongly translated by people that he was a deputy. Deputy is a political understanding that emerges later on. Khalifa simply meant something that comes khalf. It comes after. Now, what happened is in the time of Abu Bakr, radiallahu anh, they said, we're going to call you Khalifa to Rasulullah. We will call you the Khalifa of Rasulullah. No, Khalifa did not mean successor to a ruler. None of the Arabs ever used Khalifa in a rulership context. You can go through ancient classical Arabic poetry. They used the word Malik, king. They used the word, they had wali, like as an understanding, like a governor in that sense. And they had Amir, like a commander. They used these, they had like Sayyid al-Qawm. They had Naqib, for the Nuqaba of a Qabila. They did not have Khalifa. This is my point. This is where this is what the argument rests on. The Arabs did not used to call any rulers Khalifas. This does not exist. It's a made-up term. They had the word Imam, by the way. So in the poem, لِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ سَيِّ what is it? لِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ سُنَّةٌ وَإِمَامُهَا. And they have an Imam. This is so all these words did exist, although they never used to use words like Imam for generally leaders, but they had the word Imam. They did not have the word Khalifa like this in any kind of governance, rulership, anything to do with that. It just meant something that came after. It's just an Arabic word that they had. Muslims invented this term, reinvented it, during the lifetime of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. So they started to call him the one who comes after, who came after the Prophet. So in his time it was fine. Then later on, Abu Bakr, Umar, Khalifa to Rasulillah. They said, well, that's too long. Now we're just going to call you Amir al-Mu'mineen, for example. And this term Khalifa then goes on to take this socio-political understanding. And then all of a sudden there's hadith which are using the word Khalifa, which is amazing. Right, so that's... so somebody's saying, didn't the Prophet have knowledge of the unseen? Well, that depends on what you mean by the knowledge of the unseen. Do you mean that the Prophet knew everything there is ever to know? No, I mean, I don't think, I mean, I know some Muslims do believe things like that, but we wouldn't believe that. But you would say that did the Prophet have knowledge of some of the unseen? Like, did he have prophecies that, yes, he did have prophecies that a time will come like this, or he's saying that, you know, my ummah or the Deen, the faith will spread across the globe. These are prophecies all from the unseen. So from that angle, yes, but if you're going to say the Prophet knew every single thing there is to ever know, that means he just had useless info. Like, let's just say I'm picking this phone up, putting it down on my lap now. Have I put it on my left lap or on my right lap? Well, the Prophet knew this as well. Like, he was just being told this. He was being told just redundant data. That's useless, and that's actually, I think it's an insult to, it's blasphemous in many ways, because in one way it's to say that the Prophet knew that his companions were going to end up fighting each other and thousands will be massacred, and he chose not to intervene. That's blaming the Prophet as an irresponsible person. Now that is utterly unacceptable. It is disrespectful. It is blasphemous. So anybody saying these kind of claims are not really thinking through what they're saying. That's to say that the Prophet knew that his ummah, because one of the greatest tragedies that befell this ummah was the leadership issue. Let's just be honest. Like, after the Prophet, the leadership issue destroyed this ummah, because all the sects that emerged in the beginning are all to do with leadership. Whether it's the Shia issue, the Sunni issue, whether it's going to be the Khawarij, whether it's going to be the Qaramita, whether it's going to be all of... They were all concerned with rule. Now, if you're saying the Prophet knew in detail this is what's going to happen, and he knew, for example, Uthman or Ali is going to fight Aisha, and he knew this, and he knew all of these, and he knew that Zubayr would be killed like this, and he knew all of these things. If you're going to say that, and some people might believe that, but I find that blasphemous. Why? As in the precise detail, not just generic. So for example, the Prophet may have given, like maybe he had like a vision or like a prophecy, intuitive revelation that such and such will be martyred, for example. And he may have said to somebody, you know, I give you glad tidings that you may be martyred. But to say he knew the exact specifics and he knew exactly how it's going to happen, and he knew everything about, one is just to have the vision that this person will be martyred, for example, and to say to him that you will be martyred. That is one thing. That, yes, the Prophet did give prophecies like that. But to say the Prophet knew precisely that what will lead up to that and the massacres, and then he never stopped it. And all he had to do, the Prophet had to do, was just legislate. So all he had to do. In fact, according to Bukhari, when they asked the Prophet to write down who should rule, he refrained and abstained. And he said, if I write it, it will become a problem. So, yet, now that's the, you see, so in that case, if you're saying the Prophet knew step by step that this is going to happen, he's going to kill him, he's going to kill him, that everything's going to go downhill based on leadership, and I can stop all of this right now by just giving clear directives, but I refrain from doing so, is highly, to me, it's an affront, and it's disrespectful, it's blasphemous to the honor of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right, that's it. What else is going on, people? I had been asked, okay, I'm trying to remember some questions. I've been asked some different questions. Usually I jot them down on my pad to kind of answer them. But my daughter's put my... she's taken my pad and put it somewhere. I can't bloody find the damn thing. So anyway, I'm going to recall some of these questions. So I was asked, since I've spoken about the whole Sunni Shia thing, the early political divide, I was asked a question about that just this week, and I did say I will respond. The question was that somebody said, look, they've watched my video, one of my previous videos about Muawiyah radiallahu an, and in it they said that they appreciate my perspective. They obviously disagree with me, and they said that, look, they feel that I had maybe tried to justify some of the actions of Muawiyah radiallahu an, and that they felt that unintentionally, they said that, we're not saying you were doing this directly or you intended on doing this, but I may have put Sayyidina Ali radiallahu an in some negative light. This is in the past. This is probably about 2 years ago. It's one of my videos that is online on YouTube, and they said that by quoting that I quoted Imam Malik by saying that when Imam Malik was asked who are the best of people, and he said Abu Bakr, and they said then who, and he said Umar, and they said then who, then he said Uthman, and the person said then who, and he said after that everybody's equal, and the person says what about Ali, and he says well we don't consider those who sought this matter as in rulership like those who didn't. Now, this is a statement of Imam Malik. But the person's point was, you didn't quote any of the virtues of Sayyidina Ali. This was the point. Now, they asked me if I could shed some thoughts on all of this. So I said, look, I'll clarify certain things. Okay, so I just want to begin by saying, look, that to me, all companions are amazing people, and obviously Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh undeniably is one of the greatest figures in Islam, okay, and amongst the companions. That is unquestionable. But I want to make something clear, and look, this was in my, when the when I had a discussion with some of the Shia brothers, Sayyid Raza, Sayyid Ali, and we did discuss, and obviously there was a great interview, totally loved it. And after that, we continued some of the discussion, and I think that part was off camera, and it obviously unfolded into more of a discussion and somewhat of not a debate, but like just a dialogue. And we did discuss things like Adalat al-Sahaba, do we consider the Sahaba to be, all Sahaba to be just, and things like this, which is usually a very contentious topic. The same topic that our beloved friend Sheikh Asrar Rashid had agreed to debate the Shia on, and then as what's his name, Osman said to him in the phone conversation that was released, that Asrar, on this you flopped it, but okay, we're sidetracking there, but this discussion, I did have this discussion with them as well. And you see, to me, I would like to explain this to people, okay? I'm a realist, okay? I take things very realistically. I think I try not to be kind of live in some utopia. Right, when it comes to speaking about the companions of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam and radiyallahu anhum, I see things as there's two doorways, people, that we can walk through. And I think generally, this is it. There is no third as far as I'm concerned right now in this scenario. So there's two doorways, there's two pills, people. What are the pills usually? The red one and the blue one. Not that blue one. You nutty. It's, you know what it is, people have a sick mind. Me, I'm straightforward. It's the minds of humanity that have become polluted. Do astaghfar, people. Right, so it's simply, you've got two options in front of you. Right, so one doorway, one pill. I can't remember what pill was for what in the Matrix now. So I'm just going to... So you've got one doorway, people, in which we just venerate these figures. It's the kind of halo, angelic kind of doorway. We're walking through this doorway and everything is all sweet. There's just bright light. There's harps playing in the background. Everything is just so cozy. It's comfortable. It smells of roses. That is this doorway, people. Now, I advise common people, generally, to walk through this doorway. It's nice, this one. This is a, it's not realism. It's, I suppose, it's just pure veneration. You know, you just, everybody's up there. It's the halo effect. There's a big halo on this door saying, you know, pious people this way. No, not pious really, but just this one. So, right, so if you go through this doorway, everybody's just good. You know, we're going to read about a companion, and he's the best of people. You know, he's amazing. He's like almost very angelic. You know, he's always great. He's, you know, he's just like a superhero, almost like a superhero. You know, they're amazing people. And these are the kind of stories we're going to tell our children. We're going to, you know, people are going to kind of grow up on. They're going to think, and this is a nice doorway. Take it, you know, take it, this one. You know, this bill, this one nice, you know. This is like a trip. Just enjoy the ride, people. Enjoy. The other doorway, the other pill, the blue pill. See, this doorway, people, is, this one is where we're going to be really objective. There's no halo effect. We're going to be real. We're going to remove all blinkers. We're going to be academic. Oh, rather. Well, what do we have here? So here we want to look at everything in a very human. This one, that one had a halo on it. This one has the quote of Nietzsche that human, all too human. Allah. You know, this one, this doorway, it's not bright, it's just real. It's like the dull weather of the UK. Koi bharosa nahi. You know, you don't know when it's going to start raining. You don't know when the sun could be out and suddenly starts raining. Right, that's, you know, coach. Yeah, we've got not loyal, this one. These doors ain't loyal. You know, these doors. So this door, it's a very, oh my God, you know, we're going to go through here. Oh, we're going to see this side of humans. We're going to see the bickering, the fighting. We're going to see all of this. It could be exciting. Don't get me wrong. Could be exciting. You know, the blue pill. the blue pill can be quite helpful, you know. At times it can be very exciting. So I've read online. But it can have side effects, people, you know. Maybe if you OD on it, either you can't get rid of the problem, or you could have a heart attack. So the blue pill, this one, not too nice, you know, sometimes. So now if you take this door, this pill, people are all too human. You're going to see the real side. You're going to see these companions swearing. You're going to see them fighting. You're going to see them being human, all too human. Now, the problem is, whichever door you take, that is the only one there's no switching halfway. I mean, you can switch, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is if you're going down that hallway, you've gone down a poor connection, right? So if you've gone down this way, you've gone down that way. So what happens is some people, they want to be very objective with the companions. They want to take this, but then they say, we're going to criticize only selective companions. The truth is that if you take this doorway, everybody is going to get scrutinized. There's going to be no exception. So when I had this conversation, even with you know, some of our Sayyid brothers, the Shia brothers, I was very real. I said, look, they said to me, will you accept this about Muawiyah? Will you accept this about Abu Huraira? Will you accept? I said, I can accept it. I can accept it. You know, I can accept these things that possibly, I mean, I don't know whether they did happen, but it's not beyond belief for me that, you know, you're going to say that out of power somebody had such and such killed, or had this done, or had this village razed to the ground, right? It's not unbelievable. I mean, I don't know whether it's true. I haven't checked it out, the actual reporting, but it's not beyond belief. But the truth is, if we're going to go down that road, you can't then just single out Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh as like protected, and the rest are all scrutinized. Everybody's going to get thrown under the bus. So if you are prepared to walk down that road, then you're going to have to treat everybody as human, all too human. And everybody's bad sides are going to come out. So I advise people personally to take this doorway. You know, this one, very nice, you know, this one. So I say take this one. It's okay, you know. Or if you want to be very academic and you want to be very objective, and as a personal preference you want to study this, then study it. Fine. I mean, I think it's up to you. You know, I'm not going to say it's haram. I mean, some people would say if you start abusing people, then that's haram. But okay, but if you just want to learn about people, where they went wrong or where they did things, true. But then everybody, remember, the filters have gone. This one's no filter. There's no filter to make them look all nice. Everybody is just going to be lying stark. You're going to take a look and think, well, bloody hell, that wasn't pretty. So that's what my answer is, okay? So I hope I've shed some light. I personally do advise people to take this route with everybody. Just, you know, they've gone anyway, you know, and I accept the reality is actually probably that human, all too human. But I still like this, you know, this one is still nice, you know. It's like when we sit back and watch a movie, we know it ain't real, but it's still entertaining. It's still good, you know. It's like it's like when we were kids, we used to watch dumb analogy now, by the way, but we used to watch, I mean, I used to be a major fan of WWF back in the days, you know, Warrior, and we all knew it's fake, but it was still good. And I'm not saying that this is fake, but what I'm trying to say is that it is very nicely polished over, and that's okay, you know. It's not 100%, but it's okay. It's truthful, but it's polished over. Cool. Am I debating anyone soon? Not that I know of. Actually, I'd maybe like to reach out to a few people, have a few discussions. I was contemplating reaching out to Daniel Haqiqatju and discussing some of these issues with him after I watched that video, which I can't now get out of my head. So I was thinking of having a dialogue about things like apostasy and stuff like that. I was thinking about it. I think it would probably be good if we did. Right, so what else is going on? What are some other questions people have asked? Right, somebody had asked me a question. Is it Omar had asked me a question? Somebody said, how about Dr. Yasir al-Qadi? I don't think Yasir al-Qadi would want to have a dialogue with me. You know, it's too much at stake, you know, too much at stake. Me, you know, I'd be obviously taking me on as an underdog. It's no good, you know. I might just win. You never know, you see. I'm unpredictable. And if you end up having a dialogue with me, you know, so I don't think he would engage me in a dialogue, Dr. Yasir al-Qadi. I would love to have a dialogue with Dr. Yasir al-Qadi. There's many things I would drop instantly. Things that rank quite high on the spectrum of gratification, shall we say. I would drop them in an instant to have a dialogue with our beloved brother Dr. Sheikh Yasir al-Qadi. But I don't think this one possible, no es possible. Somebody said you should reach out to Sheikh Ibrahim Osif. No, Sheikh Ibrahim Osif is doing great work in Liverpool. He at a grassroots level. Let people like that do their work, mashallah. They're, great people. Let them work. Don't need to do the panga, with these people. They're very, mashallah. They don't cause any issues. They never see them causing trouble online. You never see them spreading wrong information. Generally, that I'm aware of. So just, let these people be, why should I? The only issue is because in recent times I've seen Sheikh Yasir al-Qadi making public statements about certain things, doing a 180, affirming certain things, saying it's wrong, indirectly kind of even attacking me. So that's why I extended my lovely invitation for a dialogue. That's why. Molvi Limbada Sahib. Oh, I would love to have a dialogue with Molvi Limbada. Hi, dil khush ho jayega yaar. Limbada ji. I would love to have a dialogue with him. If he came and sat down, I'd be like, Aiye aapka intizar tha. It would be, that would be an early Eid gift for me. So, right, so what else is going on? Right, okay, what are the questions? What questions have I been? I'm going to check some of the questions posted online. I am going to discuss a bit later on. There's some questions that have been challenges, objections that have been raised by some ex-Muslims, notably Abdullah Sameer, amongst others as well. But one is to do with 10 weird, absurd rulings within Islam. And so I'm going to respond to that. I'll do that a little in a while. And then one is an objection on the Quran's origin and authenticity based on the Sana'a manuscript, and I'll speak a bit about that in a while. Okay, so don't worry, people, there's serious talk also, we serious talk as well, we don't just, it's not just all love and play, it's not just games, people. We do serious talking. Did you Shaykh Samir al-Nass? Shaykh Samir al-Nass, as in like what, have a dialogue? You see, people like Shaykh Samir al-Nass, they kind of like just grassroots shuyukh, as in they just get on, do their kind of things. I don't even think Shaykh Samir is somebody who gets involved in ilmi kind of dialogues like that. I think he's just somebody who's just interested in the tarbiyah and these are good people, let them be. In fact, last year Shaykh Samir also came out and tried to respond to the Jesus debate thing, and really he was just put up to that by people, and a lot of shuyukh kind of condemned that his followers for kind of trapping him in that situation, because I think he visits quite a bit, frequents the UK often, and when he came here, they just kind of just told him, oh, this is what we want the talk on. And he didn't really understand the backdrop, and he didn't really know, but people kind of just put him up to it, and almost kind of setting him up for me to refute him. And, I had some great people kind of reach out to me as well and explain that to me, that look, he's not trying to refute you like that, and he's not even aware of these situations, and it's unfair of people to set him up like that, who are his own people. This is the thing, this is the shocking kind of thing. His own key murids and followers are the ones that are inadvertently setting him up to kind of like, for me to refute him. and to get this kind of thing going. And so he's not really like that, and neither was his response of a great academic ilmi kind of thing really, and that's not his field as far as I'm aware. I think he's really invested in qira'ah of the Quran and teaching people that and general tarbiyah, and that's good, and I appreciate that. I like that. I see there's a Sheikh Tanweer. I often see his photos with Shaykh Samir al-Nass. Sheikh Tanweer is from the UK. I'm not quite sure what city he's based in, but many years ago we were in Damascus at the same time. I don't know if he remembers me now, but I do remember him back then. He was very cool back then. I obviously I haven't spoken to him in ages, but I do have him on social media and things like this, and I'm often seeing their photos. They always take Shaykh Samir al-Nass is doing these kind of groups and tarbiyah groups and taking people on. So I have, you know, kind words and you know, good du'as for these people. Okay, so yeah. Syed Kamal Haydari. Who's Syed Kamal Haydari? Oh, the Shia scholar. I have a lot of respect for Syed Kamal Haydari. From what I've seen of his things, I found them very informative. They are in Arabic. He's an old senior sheikh. I don't know where he's based. I think it may be Iraq or somewhere, or it may be, I don't think it's Iran. But he's speaking in Arabic, and he has some very forward-thinking views, and he opposes the general mainstream Shia on many occasions. So I do like his stuff. Mufti, do you lead Jama'ah in any masjid for Salah? Behave. Do I look like I could lead Salah in any... Do I look... That question is just wrong on so many levels. It's like, one, do I look like I could lead Salah? Two, do I look like any masjid would accept me? Three, do I look like I'd ever be on time to lead Salah? No chance, people, no chance, you know. Mufti, your views on the village wars, right? So, people, we've got some Mufti Masala, right? Shall I throw in the Mufti Masala already? The Mufti Masala, right? So, what's going on with the... I'll tell you what, let's take a few questions, then we'll come to the Mufti Masala. But all humans of the same level of rights to exist. He could lead Salah on Facebook Live, so Fajr Jama'ah in... Fajr I could make because I'm a vampire. I'm often awake till Fajr time. I don't... Mufti, did Ivan Drago hair come back in fashion? Alright, Ivan Drago, you like it? You like it? You know, my hair is just naturally spiky. I don't know why it's like that. I can't remember it as a kid being spiky, but it's just spiky, you know? It just... I mean, obviously, I've got gel on it, but it's actually spiky. Like, if I wash my hair, it'll just be standing up. It'll look like weird kind of drill bits hanging out. It really is like that. I don't know what's wrong with it. Obviously, deformed genes, I guess. You know, Pakistanis, way up, it's all incestuous, it's all incest, and... Right, so... Very quick question. Budweiser Prohibition blend. It says alcohol. What's that right there? But then on the can it says 0.05%. Yeah, I mean that's permissible. That can be. You can drink that. That's absolutely. If it's 0.05% kind of thing, that is fine. That is fine, people. Right. Okay, let's just... Damn, what's going on here? I'm just trying to get the comments back. Where have they gone? Oh, there they are. You should get dreads. Dreadlocks? I'm not so sure. Let me just touch... I think has it... Oh, I think that's better. Almost kind of went out of focus on this end for a while. Can we wear the Nalain Sharif? What does that mean, Nalain Sharif? Wear it as in wear the shoes? Is that what you... Nalain means the two shoes. And people say the two shoes of the Prophet or the Nalain of the Prophet. You know, I mean, I'm not really... These things I'm not really so fussed about. Some Muslims have seemed to have made this into a symbol, like an Islamic symbol. I do find it quite amusing, and I think, in all honesty, if we were in the time of the Salaf, like let's say the companions and the Tabi'een and the Atba'u Tabi'een, like the Imams, like Imam Malik and so on, and we told them that we made the Islamic symbol the shoes of the Prophet, I think they would probably laugh, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think they would understand what the hell we're on about. So I'm not really down for making this a symbol, an Islamic symbol, but many Muslims have. I mean, you can wear it. Somebody's saying, can you wear it? Of course you can wear it. You know, people wear it as a symbol. They wear badges with this kind of outline, which is meant to be the outline of a kind of shoe. I just find it, I'm not down with that, like superimposing these kind of new symbolism to reflect Islam. Islamic symbolism generally has pretty much, there's a consensus, not an Islamic, that kind of consensus, but there's a kind of social consensus of Muslims that the symbol for Islam has become a crescent and a star. Okay, I accept that as a symbol of Islam because the world seems to have accepted that as a symbol of Islam. The Prophet never introduced it. In the Prophet's lifetime, there was no such thing as a crescent and a star. If you did that, the Prophet or the Sahaba, they would have had no idea what you're talking about, that's not Islam by any standard. And even the early Islamic kind of flags that the dynasties used, like the Umayyads and these people, they actually used the flags of Quraysh, which were like black flags with, I think, some slits in there and things like this. They weren't, and the Abbasids and stuff like this, they weren't this crescent and star. But I accept that as a symbol. I'm not really into trying to recreate new symbols. It should be the hawk of Quraysh. Allah. The falcon of Quraysh, huh? Is that Abdurrahman ibn Muawiyah? Right, let's get some questions that were posted online. Just gonna see this. Oh, right, some people had asked me about my, I shared a photo, people, of 10-year challenge. Now, I couldn't, somebody said, can you please explain this verse in the Quran, Bayna Yadayhi, places used, people translate this as old books or books of past. If they get this, it actually means between hands. I'm not sure what context you're using that in. Are you talking about Jesus, for example? As in Bayna Yaday, you see, Bayna Yaday, or Bayna Yadayk, it means literally between the two hands, okay? But it means kind of before you, as in, if I said to you in Arabic, like, Unzur ila ma bayna yadayk, like, look what is before you, in front of you. Now, this is how it's generally, the person hasn't mentioned what context. I think because of the reference to past books, you may be referring to Jesus in the Quran, where Allah says that we have sent him musaddiqan lima bayna yaday, to reinforce that which has gone before him, or that which is in front of him. Now the thing is that, you see, it's weird because it's going to sound dumb now when I say this. See, some things sound better in your head. But in front of you can mean behind you. This sounds crazy, you see. When you say it out loud, when you're worried that by saying it out loud, I might get kind of like sectioned. I'm in a straitjacket, right? I'm in a psych ward now because I'm trying to explain, right, that in front of you can mean behind. So in front can mean behind. And no, and that's not the reason for all the, and that's not a kind of euphemism or an innuendo for No, I said from in front, not from behind. But I thought it meant... Is that where the Maliki fatwa went wrong? Is that where they misunderstood the whole... Right, so the whole thing is... Somebody saying behind is khalf. Yeah. Duh, behind is khalf. But, you see... You see, but sometimes the Arabs did used to use things like the word in front to mean behind. I know that sounds totally wacko when I say it out loud. It sounds like I'm on some kind of drugs, but they did. So you get that in a few of the Arabs. So in this context, you can understand it, because it means, like in English, put it like this, it means like before you. Now, before you in Arabic, I could say, hey, look at the food before you. And there it would mean kind of in front of you. But if I said that which has gone before you, you would understand that which is behind you and has gone. You understand? So that's the best kind of parallel I can kind of give. So it's like the verb wara. Sorry, not verb, adverb, a wara, which means behind, but it can mean in front. As in the tafsir of the Quran, when he says, وَكَانَ وَرَاءَهُمْ مَلِكٌ يَأْخُذُ كُلَّ سَفِينَةٍ غَصْبًا. And they had behind them a king who would take every ship by force in the story of Khidr. But here Ibn Abbas said wara meant in front. Anyway, people, confusion, overload, in front, behind, Imam Sahib, is it from in front or is it from ye ho ka raha hai, ye ka ho raha hai baba? Right, so that's the gist of it. Generally, you're right, it means that, but in the context it can mean that which went before. Hope that explains things. Okay, the fact that it says between your two hands, that's just an idiom. Okay, it's idiomatic to mean in front of. In the Arabic language, you say that. Do the madhabs, we've got Sheikh Habab Ahmed is in the house, people. Ahlan wa sahlan, Sheikh G. Right? Shukran for tuning in. Salam, Mufti, do you believe the Quran is created or uncreated? Oof, what a debate. Yeah, this debate is one of the most nonsensical, ridiculous and absurd debates to have ever entered the Islamic discourse. No side of nothing in this debate makes any reasonable sense. This debate is as absurd as the Christian Trinity. Okay, honestly, that's what it is. And hence the Christians use this debate to kind of catch Muslims out in saying that our concept of Jesus is as your concept is of the Word of God. You see, so they try to catch us out on this because this is absurd. This debate is nonsense, right? Imam Shawkani points that out in his thing. He says, look, just say whatever the hell you want about this. Believe whatever you want. It makes no difference. In my understanding, the Quran is the Mus'haf in front of us. Okay, and that book that we have in front of us is obviously created. Okay, the rest of this debate makes no sense and means nothing. Okay, so I would not advise to get involved in this debate. Exactly, so let's leave that debate out of it. Right, so what was some... I was going to say that somebody had asked me, a few people had asked me, with this 10-year challenge, I couldn't find any photos that were 10 years old. So I put out a photo that was about 15 years old. I think I was in my final year of study. And some people had asked me, look, what was the mode of transformation? I mean, what was this journey? Could I share a few words on that? So, okay, I will... Right, can I share some words on that? Ibrahim is in the house. Ahlan wa sahlan, people. Ibrahim from Kov, our Maliki repping Coventry right here. Okay, people. So this is a kind of So I thought, look, let me share some words on that. You know, this whole thing of where I was when I was studying to now, all these years that have gone. Obviously, this is a journey. Life is a journey. Faith is a journey, and our developmental process is a journey. So yes, I'm sure that there's many, views that I've kind of developed along the way that I may not have had then. But that's natural, okay? Do I still believe that was the same me? I mean, I'm not sure what that question actually means. Am I now a totally different person? I honestly, if I'm being honest, I honestly don't know what that question means. Because, when we say me, who is the real me? Right? Because, look, every single person that knows me, the same applies to each one of you. Every single person that knows me has a version of me in their mind. Okay, what me is to them. Okay, now I have a version of me in my mind which I can guarantee you is not the version that other people have, because there will obviously be sides to me that not everybody will see. So to some person I may be quite serious. I mean, although that would be only a very few people, perhaps. But to some people, I may have a comical side, a humorous side. Maybe I'm funny. Maybe I'm knowledgeable. Maybe I'm, to some people, they might think, oh, what a fool, what an idiot, what a clown. To some people, they might just think, oh, he's, this guy is just way too out of it, or he's crazy. And some people might think, well, actually, he's quite sound and very grounded, and maybe some people think I'm wise in some extent, and some people think I'm an absolute fool. And to me, obviously, there's because I'm seeing the world from my perspective, which is very different to anybody. So the version of me I have in my mind will never be the version of me in anybody else's mind. So what does that even mean? So it's almost mind-blowing that I guess how I see me doesn't exist out there, and that same applies to each and every one of you. And this is, now obviously and the shocking thing is life is such that when we look back, we can't even really understand how we were then, that mindset. We think we were how we are now back then. So I would now think, yeah, sure, of course, that me then is just like the me now. But maybe I wasn't. Maybe I don't know. Because, you see, it's like aging. Because we're always seeing ourselves, we can't see the stark differences. I'm thinking, hey, didn't I always look like this? But obviously, we all change. We don't all just look the same. But to us, we kind of all, because of the gradual, so we don't notice these things. But there has been a very long journey. I mean, so much has happened. So much. I mean, just life, the whole thing, being in a world, being away for my studies were probably around 8 years. Being out of this country, being in a different part, growing up. I explained to some people, I met Bro Haji again just recently, and it was an amazing, amazing gathering, by the way. Much love and respect going out to Bro Haji and his crew. Doing it honestly, amazing, really chilled out. I'd only before that, met him once, but then seen him in his Hyde Park debates, and I pictured this very kind of tense or serious persona, but nothing like that. Very chilled out, great sense of humor. But yeah, so my point is that, look, you're taken out of an environment, and I went through, and I was telling some of these guys that I went through stages when I first began practicing. I was probably just about maybe 16, 16 and a half, that kind of age. And I went through a lot of struggles as well back then. And to even start practicing, it was very difficult. It was even just with the whole family situation, because my family weren't really like that. And not that it was a problem practicing, but still I explained to them, I actually went on Jamaat, and my family were really opposed to things like that, the whole Tablighi Jamaat and this whole thing. Not necessarily on principles, but just because of the whole societal, they thought that these people were maybe part of the Wahhabi thing, and they're misled, and there was a great struggle in that. And I actually, I mean, I'll maybe in some detail some other time explain, but I did explain to them, I actually ran away as a kid from home to go on Jamaat and had to suffer some consequences when I came back. But the point is, and then I started studying, and I took things very seriously. I went through a lot of people told me certain things. When I began practicing, people told me things were haram. I followed it to the letter, because I didn't have knowledge. People told me, you can't do this, TV's haram. I stopped TV. People told me, you can't do certain things. I was explaining to these people, I used to have a particular haircut, which was like really, I suppose like curtains, like long hair, but an undercut, completely shaved underneath. And I remember people telling me that's haram. I just went to the barber, shaved all my hair off. I went through all these phases that people now, some people may be still going through now. I went through them in the 90s, like as I was young, as I was in my teens, as I started practicing, people told me luxuries we shouldn't indulge, you shouldn't really, dumb things like you shouldn't sleep on a bed, you should sleep on the floor. And I thought, okay, you should sleep on the floor. So I just slept on the floor. I just gave up, like what people told me, because I didn't have knowledge. I went through that. I gave it up. I honestly, I just said, all right, fine. I bought a sleeping bag and slept on the floor. As dumb as that sounds, but I did these things. It's not that. So when I was like, I want to learn Arabic, I went out on those journeys. Obviously, it's very difficult. I had to struggle. I had to kind of go through a lot of things. But I think, and then obviously went through the whole phase. I went to Damascus. I probably spent, a year and a half there. I went to Pakistan. I went to Islamabad. I went to Karachi. I went to different madrasas. I went back to Damascus, and during those several years that I spent out, obviously that is going to have a certain impact on you. But as my knowledge started to increase, I did start to become more relaxed, and that natural persona did start to emerge again. I did feel that, there's a saying in Arabic, وَمَهْمَا تَكُنْ عِنْدَ امْرِئٍ مِّنْ خَلِيقَةٍ وَإِنْ خَالَهَا تَخْفَى عَلَى النَّاسِ تُعْلَمِ. That, whatever a person has within, even if he thinks it will hide away, it eventually emerges. And I think that I did have a relaxed personality. I think that did emerge as my knowledge increased, even during my studies. But since I left that and came back here, you can imagine starting from scratch and the whole thing. And, I working, going back to studies, studying different views, philosophy, psychology. I did a degree in psychology. I met with, professors. I discussed with them, had dialogues with people. I completed a teaching degree. I taught in, just mainstream schools. I taught religion. I taught philosophy. I taught Arabic in colleges. I did a master's in education, doing all of these kind of things. You can imagine, and just life in general, going through the life processes, embarking upon things, just the ups and downs that you're going to get, just everything in life, the friends that I guess you'll make, the kind of, I suppose, everything, and you get this, and then also encountering a lot of challenges that Islam is being faced with, seeing these, struggling with them. I have struggled with certain things in the past, and I think over time, Allah opened up certain responses to me. I did seek out, and in some occasions I was lucky enough to get certain answers. In other things, I had to find answers. It wasn't, nobody really kind of on some things helped me until I eventually just came across them, and they, I've just intuitively, I eventually kind of found some answers, but after many years. But it's been a whole kind of journey. And I have to say, one of the most important things has been friends. Having a close network of friends is incredibly important. It allows you, like a safe zone, it allows you to express yourself. It allows you to bounce off people, to get ideas from them, to get opinions, to kind of, it puts, to check things. People, friends that will encourage, not just, along the way. One of the great blessings, I will say, is that managing to filter that process and just have a good network of friends that are trustworthy, that are safe, that are, that you can just be yourself with, that are non-judgmental. That's one of the most difficult things, I think, for people to find. And alhamdulillah, I think I have a very good network of friends. A lot of them, you always see me in pictures with people, very close, very tight. See Shaban, Abu Mu'adh, who's often confused as my stunt double. You see people like Tariq, who are called Shaykh al-Qawm, Asam, and you'll see other people as well. But these people are like, obviously, you need in life a certain circle to be able to bounce ideas, to grow as well. So that has helped, networking with scholars, all of these kind of reading different opinions, having, I think for a good while, I did seek the validation of others. If I'm going to be honest with myself, I think I did. For a long while, I think I did seek the Islamic validation. Like, I felt insecure to be able to just express an opinion. I needed that opinion to be approved, the approval of others, for a while, until alhamdulillah I just outgrew that. And it's amazing once you do, you kind of outgrow these things, and then you realize, well, I don't care. That you reach a certain stage and Allah gives you that ability, and like I said, everything contributes to that. Your family, your relationships, all your experience is kind of poured into life, and you develop. And I have definitely developed along the way. And so I would say that a lot of these, what I felt were crises within faith, challenges within the Quran, I think perhaps most of which that I came across up until now, most of which, alhamdulillah, I have answered. And I've provided those answers for people out there that are equally struggling. I don't know, maybe there's one, two, I'm sure there's some still lurking around, but some huge ones, that people really struggled with, that I would have felt, things like that people would have said, well, what does Islam have to say about this? From little things to major issues, like how miracles are viewed for people that kind of didn't believe in that kind of folkloric kind of way of things. Magic, jinn possessions, demonic possessions, all these things, superstitions, to things like evolution, to things like what does Islam say about, for example, ethics, the penal justice code today. Would Islam today allow things like stoning and stuff like this? Were trajectory hermeneutics, things like difficult verses in the Quran, like that people have highlighted, like to do with either slavery or wife beating. These things, I have responded to all of the female testimony. I've responded to that. Provided some response. I'm not saying people have to accept these, but I've at least added to the discourse. Discussions on homosexuality, for example, discussions on even euthanasia, discussions on things like the virgin birth, the miraculous birth of Jesus, the second coming of Jesus, so many things. I think I've at least managed to kind of broaden, at least for people, the spectrum in saying, well, actually there is quite a bit on the table here as far as Islam is concerned. And the murder by Moses and Khidr of a child, for example, this story, how did God sanction murder? Like, responding to I won't lie, that was one that I really struggled with, and it was one of the most difficult things that I actually asked a lot of people for help on that one, and I'd never actually got any help from anyone on that one, and I asked a lot of major shuyukh. But I mean, these are some kind of things. So I think, alhamdulillah, I share these things with people out there that maybe for some it can help them in their journey. मैं अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल मगर लोग आते गए और कारवां banta gaya. It's that I just set out alone on this journey, but people came along and it became a caravan in the end. So that's my kind of, that's just because a lot of people did ask me that, look, especially seeing that photo, that what do you have to say? So I thought, look, okay, inshallah, I'll share some, that it is a journey, and and I think it's good that if we're not changing, there's a problem. As Imam Shafi'i said in a poem, that inni ra'aytu waquf al-ma'i yufsiduhu in sala taba wa in lam yajri lam yatibi. That I see that water, so long as it doesn't stagnate, like if it stagnates, it becomes foul. But so long as it flows, it is always pure. And I think that constant kind of thing has to be, we have to continue that in life. And if you just stagnated, if you look back at your life and think, well, where was I 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, ideologically, I'm still at the same place. Then I think, my friend, you need to seriously, you need to like, look at bang your head repeatedly in a wall and wake up, people, wake up, right? So that's exactly messenger, right? Let's take a few questions and then let's move on to some of those. Check up the reticular activating region. Okay. About the Buddha was not flowing but stagnant. Come on, for God's sake. Is this the same person asking about Bi'aru Buda'a, the same well in Medina? What is the obsession with this well? In this well, apparently people say that there was all kind of women used to dispose of their sanitary kind of towels and of the sanitary cloths, that they would use back then, and all this kind of stuff. And how would people use that well? But allegedly the well was so deep, and when the Prophet was asked, he just said that, look, if the water, when you raise it, as in when you take water out, so long as it, its color, taste and smell are not impacted, you can use the water. This is allegedly the hadith. This is what the Maliki method bases its thing on. Don't worry about it, man. What's this obsession? Just chill out, yaar. Chill out. Can we say Sayyidina before the name of the Prophet in Salah? Yes, of course we can say Sayyidina. And in fact, recently I shared a fatwa of Sheikh Muhammad Rugi, who is an amazing living legend amongst the scholars today, and especially amongst the Malikiya. And he used to be the former Grand Sheikh of the Qarawiyyin, and he is still in Morocco. He's currently teaching, and a lot more of his stuff. I shared his fatwa about this saying Sayyid, and same thing. It's absolutely fine. You can say Sayyidina Muhammad. It just means like our master. That's all. Who is Sheikh Dhorat from Leicester? Should we take knowledge from him or not? Sheikh Dhorat, Sheikh Saleem Dhorat, is a respectable senior scholar. He is Deobandi. He runs a madrasa. I don't know what the particular name of the madrasa is. It's one of the 3 popular madrasas in Leicester. As far as I'm aware, he's a very respectable person. And yes, of course you can take knowledge. Of course, I mean, you can take knowledge from anybody. People like Sheikh Saleem Dhorat have been serving their community for decades on end. I'm sure he would probably not see eye to eye with me, and vice versa on many issues. But that said, that doesn't mean you have to become like boycott everybody who doesn't see eye to eye with you. That would be ridiculous, right? Right. Anybody have any profound questions? Stating the IDA. Yep, that's the institute. It's called, I think, Islamic Da'wah Academy or something like that. Yes, that's it. Shukran for sharing that, Mahir. Right. Mufti Saab, where do Tablighi Jamaats get their 3 days, 40 days, 4 months from? This is just strategy. It's nothing Islamic in that sense. It's just their strategy of saying, go out for 3 days, go out for 10 days, go out for 40 days. People have asked me, what are my views on Tablighi Jamaat? I think they're fine. Tablighi Jamaat are good, and they suit a particular stage that you may be at in your development. So that, they take you away, focus on some root issues and help you develop them. That's all good, I think. But they come to then hopefully you'll get to a stage where you can move on. That's the only problem. Some people just don't move on. That's the problem. But isn't somebody, you once said Muslims should stop relying on Aristotelian logic, but isn't Aristotelian logic logical? Oh, it is, but there's no harm in Aristotelian logic. I just meant that we shouldn't become obsessed from a religious perspective on it. I mean, sure, it's great, it's great. There is no such intoxication like the religion. I'm not so sure I agree with that statement. I agree that religion is an opium for the masses. I think what Karl Marx meant when he said that is that it was more a positive statement. I think, I could be wrong, but my understanding is what he meant by that is it's something that still sedates and numbs the pain for the masses. That's what the religion is like, and that's true. Religion gives meaning to life, and it does numb the pain. And in fact, it's something that atheists really would struggle with, because whether you agree with it or not, superstition is messed up. And atheists, if you're going to compare atheists and let's say believers, when it comes to superstition, atheists win. There's no two ways about that. Because a lot of religious people, unfortunately, become superstitious people. But when it comes to things like tragedy and suffering in life, you find that people of faith clearly win where atheists don't. Because they have a meaning with their suffering. They associate some kind of that look, that this is part of God's plan, and God will make something better, and that narrative is incredibly not only powerful but important at that stage. And so yeah, right. Ahl Sunnah include which are amongst the Jama'ah. I don't know what that question is. Right, people, okay, what's going on? Let's take... right, so before I look at some of those ex-Muslim questions, what's the Masala for the week, people? The Mufti Masala, I got to do the Salt Bay kind of pose. sprinkle a bit of Masala on the... So, what's going on with these village wars, people? What's going on? What's going on? So, village wars, people, I got the update on these. There's been quite a number of videos taken out by Uthman. He has released a few videos where he has further shown some blasphemies by Ahmad Raza Khan Brailwi Sahib and a few others, where they're saying things about the Prophet which, astaghfirullah, toba, where they're saying things like, I think in one of his latest videos, he's saying things like the Prophet meets up with his wives every evening, and they have a good time. That's the kind of wording. I think it's shabashi, or it's a Farsi term, not shabashi. Like we say shabash. That's not shabash, but and so that's what it's a euphemism for. I think like sexual interaction. Now, I think speaking like that about the prophets is ridiculous, because obviously this is to do with the Prophet has passed. He's not in this world of ours. So we shouldn't really be speaking about anybody, just let it be. So it is interesting that how would the Brailwi community respond, and how would Sheikh Asrarji respond? So it comes to, I think I've arrived at a conclusion, right, that I think Sheikh Asrar simply just can't do it. This one, it can't do it, And I've got some further gossip, people. Gossip. It emerges that, you see, before this village war debate thing, before the sit down, it emerged, it transpires, people. It transpires. It is quite egregious, this one. That Mulvi Makari, who is Yasir al-Hanafi Sahib, from Bradford Sharif, he paid a personal visit to the Honourable Sheikh Asrar Ji. Yes, the lion of Ahl the meow lion of Ahl Sunnah. So he paid a personal visit, came all the way to Birmingham, personally behind closed. तन्हा में मुलाकात हुई कभी अखियां लड़ाए कभी अखियां चुराए and he brought along two of Birmingham's Deobandi scholars. I'm even aware who they are, but I won't disclose them. Abhi parda hai. So these three, so led by the Honourable Father Gonzalez himself, he went and gave his blessing to Sheikh Asrar privately, people, privately. Yeah, and said to him, look, listen, that he's going to come, Uthman is a Jahil, and this is the background, and Uthman allegedly has had a fallout with such and such Sheikh, and from such and such of his teachers, this particular teacher might be against him, or this particular person, and you can use this to your advantage. Naughty behind the scenes. It's a collaboration, There's a collab, people. There's a collab going on. Oh, the coalition. What? Woo! So there's like a Deobandi Brelvi coalition going on, teamed up against Maulana Uthman. Simply because what brings these people together, people? What brings them together? Is it the love of this ummah? Is it the power of unity? Is it the unbridled power or passion of the same objective? Is it? It's none of those things, people. It's me. I bring these people together because I am the common enemy. This is the hashtag, the sleeping with the enemy, this. So all these people have been united because I am apparently the common enemy. I'm the kryptonite, the kryptonite. So all these people are like, oh no, not Mufti Abdul Layth. I'm like, kryptonite. Like, no. So these people met and all this has been going on. I'm like, whoa, no way. Like, yeah. So I've had all this from my ISI intelligence, yeah? So people, intel. So we're just seeing, well, what's going on. Can Sheikh Asrar Ji reply to some of these videos? I think now too late, I don't think he can do it, the power is not there. So, na munna na ho paega tumse, na ho paega. Right, so anyway, that's the gossip. Let's see what happens, what time. And I do get the fact that the village wars are obviously stupid. They are stupid. They are ridiculous. And the whole debate is as dumb as it gets. But that said, because they have embarked, one thing it is, people, is entertainment. So that's why it's interesting to see, can Shaykh Asrar live up to his challenge of saying, defender of Ahl Sunnah, ooh, and these, we got these, what was the Hulk quote? We got these pythons, ooh, ooh. So let's see. So I think, and if Shaykh Asrar wants any help with these, you know, Banda nachiz, hazir hai janab. Labbaik wa sa'dik. I's only a phone call away, you know. You have my number, you. Right, so all you gotta do is just send me a message. Just send a love heart. हम समझ जाएंगे. हम समझा करो जानम. हम समझ जाएंगे. Right, and I will straight away on speed dial. Oh my beloved Sheikh, I is coming. Right, so that's all of that's all. You gotta love it, you gotta love it, people. Right, so so that's all of that. Fun and games, fun and games. So people, so what's going on? Let's take some of these. So there's 10 rulings. I gotta read these rulings out right. Where are we? Did you guys can't see my passcode, can you? Toba. That ye galti. Oh, toba. Like I said, the passcode, it's easy. That comes, you know, the maqasid of the Sharia, according to all the religions in the past, they begin with al-Nafs, life, al-Deen, faith, al-Aqal, reason, al-Nasl, progeny, al-Mal, wealth. These are the maqasid of the Sharia, preserving these 5. But I would say in our day and age, it's 6. It begins with preserving the passcode. All else can be compromised to preserve the passcode. Right, and then in that order. So it's like we have to arabicize it. Baskud, and then an-nafs, ad-deen, baskud. So people. Right. So what? Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, here it is. So here are the questions, people. I'm going to take these 10 questions. These were presented by Abdullah Sameer, who is an ex-Muslim. Now, Abdullah Sameer, I actually believe to be, this is my, I could be wrong, but this is my, you know, since I'm doing a refutation, should I twirl the tash? You know, like, oh, Mola Jato. Should I give the, you know, Mola na mare ta Mola ni marda. Right, so anyway, damn thing doesn't stay. Right, so I actually think Abdullah Sameer, personally, I think he is genuine and a sincere person. You know, like sometimes you get some ex-Muslims or atheists, and I don't find them too, I kind of see them as more kind of like trolls, some of them, and they're just troublemakers, and they're very bitter against Islam, and they're very, or against religion as a whole, and just hateful. But I don't actually see him as one of those people. I actually see him as a genuine person. This is my experience. I could be wrong, but this is my experience anyway. I think he is genuine in what he's doing. So I have this video, I came across this video of his. I have this video of his. Yeah, I'm not, my video collection of people. Like, what's Mufti's video collections of people? Yeah, kaun se video? My special webcam hacking. Right, unveiling the ex-Muslims. Not into that peeping thing, you know. Right, so anyway, here are his questions. So I'm going to read them first and then we go through them, people. 1. Breastfeeding makes you related in Islam. So that is a rather intimate one. You know, that's one. It makes you related. You know, you can relate it to the... So we're going to come back to that one. Okay, next, we're going to come back to them. Let's read through them first, and then we come back to them. Robin Singh. All right. Sasri Akal. Sasri Akal, Robin Singh ji. Right, so what's question number 2? Not question. These are not questions. These are beliefs he's saying which are in Islam. Magic is real. Magic is real. Hocus pocus. Number 3. An adopted child cannot take... It keeps closing on me. I'm going to end up swearing. Badnaam ho jaunga. You know, I'm going to get you know, name and shame, you know, on the live. I don't want that, you know. So, number 3, an adopted child cannot take your family name or inherit from you. Number 4, if you divorce your wife 3 times, you cannot marry her again until she marries and has the sexual intercourse with another man who is not obviously in the same marriage. That would be totally awkward. It'd be like 3 people in a marriage. So we're going to come back to that one as well. We're going to come back to all of these. No fighting in the sacred months. That's a... Chalo, dekhte hain. Pray for getting a wife and a new animal are the same. Oof. Brings a whole new meaning to the word riding the beast. Huh? Ye kya ho raha hai yaar? Ye ho kya raha hai yaar? Ye this one too controversial, you know. So these are allegedly Islamic rulings, and I'm going to explain all of these and explain why this is all wrong. But patience, people, patience. Patience is a virtue. Wipe your butt. What? Wipe your butt with an odd number of stones. Yeah. Will this brick do? Bro, can you pass me that concrete slab? Can 2 of you carry it here, please? Now in sync, please, if you can move in the same motion. Yeah, well, in the same motion, I said. So we're going to come to that. That's men cannot wear gold and silk. Number 9, imitating non-Muslims is haram. And number 10, pants above the ankles or hell. And pants, you see, for British people, we're probably picturing underpants around the ankles at this stage, which is a very... You sickos. All of you picturing that right now, huh? Picturing that. You sickos. Tova. See, this is what I get as an audience. Pants, American pants, yaar. Trousers. Trousers are also around the ankles. No, not in that sense, yaar. Not as in dropped, as in up. Yeah, you people, toba. Not an innocent soul left on this earth. Yeah. Kahan phas ke hum baba. Right, so anyway, let's focus, people, let's focus. Let's take these one at a time. So Abdullah Sameer has gone through these, showing that, look, these are in Islam and this is the ruling. So if you go to his YouTube video, it's called 10 Strange Rulings in Islam. And
breast milk affects lineage. This doesn't particularly affect us today because we don't hire foster moms to breastfeed. strange things that most people would not be aware of. The only thing is they probably didn't think about how strange they are. Number one, breastfeeding makes you related.
So this is the first one. So let's take these rulings one at a time, people. So, right, I'm just going to keep this open in front of me. Right, breastfeeding makes you related. You see, first of all, this, Abdullah Sameer goes on to explain this is for anybody, like for grown-ups as well. Now, that is not the case according to the majority of Muslims. This is talking about infants, and it was talking about in general having a like kind of foster mother status. So that is true. Muslims do generally believe that if a child was of a toddler, infant stage. So for example, generally the Quran says, وَالْوَالِدَاتُ يُرْضِعْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنَّ حَوْلَيْنِ كَامِلٍ. So up to like 2 years, that kind of so the Quran mentions 2 years. So, you know, an infant that's suckling, that's feeding, and if a woman was to feed him, or she was to breastfeed him, she's not his mum, but she's like a mother to him. Okay, so he would always have that motherly status with her, and he obviously, I mean, not that he would anyway, but he, like as in marry her, for example, he wouldn't, but even her daughters would then be like his sisters. They're not his actual sisters, as in there isn't like the same lineage or inheritance or things like this, but it's just they have that kind of respectable, honorable status that you've shared a similar mother in some feature. This is actually a maqam of dignity. Okay, that's what Islam said. That these are simply just a dignified status, that if a woman fed you like that, she's like your mom. Okay, there's nothing, this is not about grown-up men and some kind of fetish to kind of say, yaar, where can I get some protein? Oh, it's been a good session at the gym today. Yeah, where are some of these? I need some proteinat, some proteinat. That's not what he's talking about. Grown men don't just go suckling off lactating mothers. They don't just go like, hell yeah, I'll take some of that milk, right? And that's not how it works. And in fact, some people even consider it haram, like the Hanafi madhab and people like that. But, okay, the Maliki madhab doesn't consider the consumption of that milk haram. It doesn't consider it haram. But it doesn't say that you become relatives, okay? None of these. The Salafis say that. And yes, there is an opinion that they're trying to base this on that is not even generally the mainstream Islamic opinion, okay? That you can have some kind of mahramiyah like this. They're basing it on one isolated narration of one of the companions of one of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who the other companions and wives said that they got this wrong, they disagreed with. Okay, so that's just a misunderstanding. They said that they've misunderstood this, or maybe they're saying the Prophet said this to them, but this is not what we understand from Islam. So that is not true, people. So it's not but like scientific evidence says, a man's semen becomes part of the woman's DNA if they have sex. What? What? Oh wait, they don't go. Latest scientific says that a man's semen becomes part of the woman's DNA if they have sex. Huh? Yeah, what am I reading aloud? Lucky Google doesn't just hear me and say, okay, and just brings up all... It thinks this is some kind of a command. It thinks I'm Googling something. Right, no, I'm definite that's not how it works. You don't... men's semen doesn't just become part of the DNA. Oh, do you mean of the child that's going to be born? Well, that's obvious that the man's semen and the woman's obviously the egg, it's going to fertilize and both are going to contribute chromosomes. That's obvious. If that's what you mean, then of course. And can the nourishing milk of a lactating mother to a very young infant contribute to the nourishment of the child? Can it impact them? I don't know. Maybe it can. I don't know. I mean, it contributes to the nourishment. I don't think it contributes in any way to the DNA, but maybe to the nourishment and stuff like that. Right. The only works. Well, see, I'm going to find out this info. Just don't send any video links and images here. Guys are like, here Mufti, I've got a video link right here of lactating, and and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Right, okay, right, so the next rule, so just to clarify people, that's not what the ruling, and that's wrong. Ruling number 2, magic is real. Magic isn't real, right? I've got a very lengthy video. It's on YouTube. The magic is not real, okay? There's no such thing as magic being... Now, I've explained in my video, when we say magic is real, the ulama in the past put this into categories, okay? And Fakhruddin al-Razi, I think, categorizes it into, is it 7, 8 kind of categories, and they can be reduced. Ibn Ashur, the great Maliki legend, further reduces them into 3. Now, he says these 3 are what magic applies to. What people in the past, and we can even today, to some extent, use the term magic for. Now, he explains number 1 is things like, so number 1 would be like mind control or hypnosis or that kind of where you insinuate behavior. And people that are good at this, I know people in NLP claim that they can kind of embed commands. I know hypnotists claim they can do stuff like this. That kind of mind control, priming people, that you can call magic. Okay, I mean, it's not magic as in, but people in the past would have called that magic. So that is one layer that everybody agrees in the past that falls under this thing. When they said magic is real, this is one of the things they were referring to. Okay, and this is mentioned in the books, hundreds of it, like Fakhruddin al-Razi in his tafsir. It's mentioned by Ibn Ashur in his tafsir. So that is real. Okay, they mention, and part of this can be things like so that this can include things like illusions. Okay, so you can have illusions. Sorry, that's a separate. Sorry. The second category is things like illusions. People that actually do trickery and the sleight of hand, like the quickness of your hand, tricking things like magicians do today, hide things without you realizing, pull a rabbit out of a hat. That kind of thing people did in the past as well, like the great Indian rope trick and this kind of stuff, and climbing up a rope and doing all this kind of stuff. This is usually trickery, but people call that magic, and that does exist, not as in there isn't a way to do it, but as in to the perceiver it appears that this is what they saw. And that is the magic that is mentioned in the Quran as well. So Allah says, وَيُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِمْ, that it appears to them as a khayal, as an imagination, that the snakes were moving. So they put things like quicksilver, mercury, and that inside these rods that would react with the sunlight and things, and it would make the thing move. So it's not that there wasn't a trick behind it, but to the person who is unaware of the trick, it is like magic. So that is the second category. That does exist, but once again, today, it's still called magic, and people in the past called it magic. The third category is things like potions. Okay. Now, potions existed, and as they still do today, as medication, that can impair or that can impact your perception of reality. So today, like certain psychedelic drugs can do that, psychoactive drugs can do that, mushrooms, Things like this can make you see things that are not there. Now, like that, there are other potions as well, like things like, for example, lithium, which is naturally found. That is a mood stabilizer, so it can stabilize people's moods. You find things that are like that can numb out pain, morphine, and all these kind of things, like drugs today, even opium we discussed earlier on. Things like this, aphrodisiacs, by the way, were part of this, because you can boost a person's sexual. So why does this matter? But this matters, you see. Like let's just say we spoke earlier on about the magic blue pill today. Nutty kind, but let's just say, like, because people in the past were obsessed with finding a kind of sex drug. They were obsessed with this. If you read the books of the past, people, the kings and royalty and aristocracy and chemists of the past were obsessed in finding sexual boosters for men. So they would find certain plants, certain things, and a lot of these sex things are from trial and error. So, whether it's going to be the chemical makeup of Viagra, for example, or stuff like this, these things are going to be based on certain things that have their roots in nature, those chemicals. Now, and hence they impact the male kind of body in that way. So can you imagine a person that in the past, if somebody through trial and error, as people have, their kind of herbal versions of Viagra and things like this, can you imagine a person whose love life is dead, and then all of a sudden, some Peer Saab or some person says, here's this magic potion. I've said these magic words on them, make your husband drink it, and he has a sip, and lo and behold, there's his deputy has stood to attention. He's like, it's like the Salaf in the past used to say, this is actually from the Salaf in the past. They used to say that Sahibi, they used to call the other fella, the mini fella, they used to call him my companion, Sahibi. They used to say, Sahibi la sam'a lahu wa la basar. They used to say, like, Sahibi a'ma wa asam, that my companion, my mini friend, is both blind and deaf. That once he rises, then he doesn't listen to anybody. It's like Attila the Hun. He's just out there. Chaos. It's like, what? And then it's like people afterwards would say, there was once civilization here. Bloody hell, that's one hell of a powerful potion. Can we buy some? So the point is that, can you imagine this in the past would be like magic? That doing this, because it could rescue relationships, can you add a few aphrodisiacs, a person's in the mood all of a sudden he's madly in love. You see, things which boost the oxytocins in the brain. See, the oxytocin is that kind of lovey-dovey brain. That lovey-dovey kind of neurotransmitter floating in the brain when everything's in love. When you're like, walk in that cloud 9 and everything's in slow motion. It's a Bollywood movie. When the girl's dupatta is just floating. It's that Bollywood kind of scene. Scene chal raha hai yaar. This is right. So oxytocin in the brain. Yes, it does. It does boost the whole lovey-dovey kind of. Right. So it boosts that kind of. So my point is, these things would have been magic. Right. So now, no, not serotonin. Serotonin is to do with depression. Oxytocin is the neurotransmitter dealing with that lovey-dovey kind of feel. But anyway, the point is, this isn't saying a psychoactive drug lesson going on, right? The point is that these things in the past were considered magic. Then you also had folklore magic, like somebody's going to turn you into, like turning a prince into a frog, that kind of thing. This thing is nonsense. And yes, many Muslims in the past may have believed in these things. Not all. Imam Abu Hanifa, it's transmitted from, he rejected this outright. Many people did outright reject it. Many people did. Ibn Hazm speaks on it. Even Fakhruddin al-Razi problematizes it. Even Ghazali kind of problematizes certain things. You have many of the Hanafiya, people like Abu Bakr al-Jassas, you've got other people, they do problematize and show that this stuff doesn't make any sense. And in later days, you've got a lot more of scholars, Ibn Ashur and all these people show that this is nonsense. Okay, so it's not true to say all Muslims believe this. And yes, in the past, because people were so prone to superstition. But you have to remember in the past, like if you're going to say 500 years ago, people believed in magic, but then the whole world believed in that kind of superstitious magic. And they were just one of so many people, regardless of religion. So that's the important thing to understand. The religion does not say that, and I've got a detailed video explaining that. Right, so we've got the next. An adopted child cannot take your family name or inherit from you. I've got a whole detailed section on this. It is available on YouTube, where I do explain, I do give the fatwa that a child today can take your family name. They can even inherit. That these laws today are different with the trajectory. Yes, in the time of Islam, in the early time of Islam, the Arabs were they had very deep and strong roots in tribal society, where lineage was everything. And therefore, to upset that would have been a problem, because it would have just created discord. Now, one of the things that Islam does is it maintains the urf, the convention of a people. So I have mentioned that, look, names today in the, like, for example, you can take the Indo-Pak society, mean nothing. And a good example of this is a woman can take the husband's name if she wants. And this happens in countries like Pakistan all the time. And the ulama don't say it's haram. Right? So that's not true. And Abdullah Sameer, I believe, is from Pakistan, and he ought to know that. So the thing is that people take these names. Ulama don't describe it as haram anymore, because in countries like Pakistan, we don't have lineages like that anymore. And your surname doesn't mean anything anymore, because people in one family, ridiculously, have like 4 different... Pakis are just lost when it comes to surnames. And obviously, I mean, we're all a part of that. Like, they will just give this son a different surname, that son a different surname. They'll call him Hussein, call him Mahmoud, call him Khan, call the girls Parveen, call the girls... These are surnames. Bibi, Begum, all these kind of surnames, which are just generic surnames, and they don't mean anything. Okay. Right. So... And my point of saying that is it was the same. So you will see these same ulama that objected to the child taking the surname, they object to the wife taking the surname. They say this is haram. And hence Arab women don't take the surname. Even today, pretty much. They don't take the husband's surname, but the Indo-Pak Muslim women do. Because you could say it's a British thing, but it's not haram according to them. Right, and that's even the Maulanas. Right, so no fighting in the sacred months. This is a bit of a redundant one. There's no point kind of going on too much about this. I've got a video clip on this where I speak about the Nasi. What was the Nasi? And I do mention that there was, that there are these 4 months that the Arab custom, this is pre-Islamic, that they had a custom that during these sacred months we will not fight. And that allowed, it was kind of like, it didn't mean that you would fight in the others, but it just meant that it was a custom that nobody kind of violated. So everybody always had safe passage in Arabia during those months. So it allowed for commerce, it allowed for things like, because when the caravans used to come, it allowed for safe travel, it allowed for the Hajj, people wanting to go on the Hajj, which was pre-Islamic as well. Now, I have explained that I do find it interesting that some research has been done that Muslims were meant to, like the Jews, also due to the leap kind of month, because of it being based on lunar months, they were meant to kind of go back, like add in an extra leap month every so often, 3 years or so, but they stopped doing that, and that messed everything up, because these 4 months were meant to be during the spring period, so it allowed for crops, it allowed for animals to kind of reproduce, it allowed for these things. Hence the Jewish calendar is still quite static, but the Arabian calendar started to just drift and just go into kind of free fall. So it just keeps changing all year round. But in essence, the research that I've shared on YouTube is that that was not the original position, that people used to every 3 years have a leap month to recalibrate the calendar. So moving on, so that's what that is. That's not that absurd. Prayer for getting a wife and a new animal is the same. Now this is nonsense. Now he does quote a hadith. This is a weak and unreliable hadith. It is in Abu Dawood. It's in the book of Jami'un Nikah, where he says, you see, and the hadith, first of all, the hadith reads, إِذَا تَزَوَّجَ أَحَدُكُمْ امْرَأَةً أَوْ اشْتَرَى خَادِمًا. If a person was to marry or to bring a servant, then he should make a dua, oh Allah, ask you for the good of this person, and I seek refuge in the bad of this person. And then it goes on to say, or if a person purchased an animal, and it mentions like a camel, then let him hold the kind of the hump part or the front part and say a dua like that, oh Allah, I seek refuge in the harm of this animal and ask you for the good of it. And this hadith, okay, now even though Albani said this is fine, there are so many problems. Let me just highlight. First of all, this is absolutely da'if hadith. Okay, absolutely da'if. It begins with Uthman ibn Abi Shayba. Okay, he transmits from Abdullah ibn Sa'id, who transmits from Sulaiman ibn Hayyan, from Ibn Ajlan, from Amr ibn Shu'aib, from his father, from his grandfather. Right, so that's the... Now, first of all, Uthman ibn Abi Shayba. Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal had transmitted that he was a kadhab, a liar, okay, and that he would fabricate hadith. That chain immediately is thrown out. Ibn Kharrash said he would fabricate hadith, but Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal said he was a liar, kadhab, okay. You had, and some people said, oh, he used to take anything, transmit anything. Darqutni said, إِنَّهُ أَخَذَ كِتَابَ يُقَالُ إِنَّهُ أَخَذَ كِتَابَ غَيْرِ مُحَدِّث. It is said that he took the book of somebody who wasn't even a hadith scholar and started transmitting it. Hence he said a lot of crazy wacko stuff. That's him in the chain, and the chain begins with him. So it begins with somebody who is called a kadhab. And many people said about him one thing, that he never used to even know the Quran. But one thing good about him is he apparently had an amazing sense of humor. Right, the second thing, Ibn Ajlan in this chain. Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan said he has a problem. He's a problematic narrator. Darqutni said he suffered from dementia during the latter part of his life, and therefore came up with weird narrations. He's in this chain as well, Ibn Ajlan. Then you've got this part of Amr ibn Shu'aib and Abihi and Jaddi. First of all, Amr ibn Shu'aib and Abihi and Jaddi, they're not even sure who his, when they say his grandfather, which one are they talking about? Because the great-grandfather, they agree, is Amr ibn al-As, but is the son Muhammad or Abdullah, and then his son is Shu'aib and his son is Amr. So some people say it's Muhammad, which, cuts the chain anyway, makes it mursal. Those who say it's Abdullah, even then, Yahya ibn Ma'in said this is not a connected chain. He had found a book with the narrations from his kind of grandfather with this lineage and started to transmit it. Okay, so it's not actually something that he heard. So all of these people are in this chain, beginning with somebody who is accused of being a fabricator of hadith. So people, this is da'if. Da'if. Okay, so if you're gonna base an argument against Islam, then I think at least it should be based on something sound that we can then say, cha, ab maza aayega takkar mein. This kind of stuff is a joke. We need, you can do better than that. You can do better, right? So, okay, now wipe your butt with an odd number of stones. Okay, so this is a weird. Right, let's pile out the stones, lads. The real kind of spiky stones. This is another level of masochism going down, I tell you. But look, people, you have to understand something. This is a complete misportrayal of Islam. First of all, this rests on two things. One is the custom that many people in many parts of the world where water is scarce relied on. And that is that if they went to the toilet, they would rely on whatever was excessively available to purify themselves. Now, water in a desert is available, but it's not excessively available. Hence, the Arabs did used to do istijmar. This is not an Islamic practice. This is just what the Arabs and many people, even in India, Pakistan, even non-Muslims, do this. Like if they're in a place, and even though water is more prevalent in places like India than it is in Arabia, but people will still, in the past, more so when technology was less and irrigation was less, that they would use stones. Obviously, we're not talking about like using a brick. Somebody said, why not sand? Yeah, sand. This one, genius, this one. Can you bring that bucket of sand? Are they going to put out a fire? Or do you want them to just block the exit hole? Yeah, let me just lie down. You brought the sand, yeah? Have you got a funnel? Daldo, just fill it up. Problem solved. Why not sand? Right. Whatever you're smoking, you need to share it. You need to share it. The good stuff. Right, so... Okay, so now that's one part, okay, that people use stones. In certain places they use leaves, in certain places. So this is nothing to do with religion. This is just what they used. Islam actually encouraged, and the Prophet actually encouraged using water afterwards. And that's in a very famous hadith. The Prophet said that there were certain people that used to always make sure that they took water with them. And the Prophet said, encouraging others, that look, these are people who Allah loves. Like they love, Inna Allah yuhibbul mutatahhirin. He loves those people who want to be very clean. So look, now, so let's not misrepresent. So that it is true that people, not just in Arabia, in many parts of the world where they don't have water, do use other things like stones. Obviously, they would be like kind of like large pebbles, like those kind of stones. Those polished. Those kind of stones that you get, not obviously like a brick, like smack a brick in his head. It obviously wasn't anything like that. So yeah, so that's that. The second part is, why did the Prophet say use odd numbers? Then if you are going to, whoever is going to use istijmar, use stones and other things, let him use an odd number. Why was the Prophet saying this? Well, let me answer. Is this because we're going to say something like, because God is one and that's an odd number? I'm sorry. Duh. Obviously not. Don't be dumb. That's just as dumb as it gets, okay? Right, that's... Where did they put the stone after? They frame it... They just after this is what they do with the stone after. Once they've got it, they go, "Hey, catch!" And he goes, And then they go, here, catch another. And the guy's like, woo! And they go, catch another. And he starts, and that's how juggling began. That's the history behind juggling, people. Because everybody kept throwing istijmar stones in Arabia, and people, they don't want to hold on to them. So that's how we ended up with jugglings. Right, so now, okay, this, you see, you have to understand something. In the Arabs' time, in the Arabian time, in the time of the Prophet, people generally did things, they kind of did things twice, like especially in things like this, that they would just go, and generally a lot of people do a lot of things just generally like twice, like they'll do something and just repeat it once more. So the Prophet was aware that people were just going to clean themselves, and they would just probably clean once and then just do it once again. And what the Prophet said is, if you are going to do this, you're not going to use water, do an odd number. Why? Because an odd number would mean one more. Go once more, clean once more, meaning that make it extra, you know, just go that extra step. That's what this was. This wasn't trying to say stick on one because God is one. That would be as dumb as this gets, right? Because people generally just did thing once and then twice, once over. And if you're aware of this, you'd probably say, hey, go once more. Do that one step more. Like we would say that. This wasn't some kind of superstition. Even if, and I'm not saying some Muslims didn't take this as a superstition, they did. But most of them recognized this was just a ruling for kind of, what they call mubalagha, or for like going an extra step in cleanliness. That's all. Okay? So that's what used to happen. Next one. Men cannot wear gold and silk. I have a video. It is on YouTube. I have explained that. Alright, I have explained that, look, there is a disagreement with this. Men can wear gold and silver. Sorry, gold and silk. And that is actually even my fatwa. I've got a YouTube video. I do explain how scholars like Ibn Daqiq al-Eid did bring... he brings several hadith to demonstrate that at least 5 companions, if not more, died wearing gold. So he says, if anything, there is no such thing as a consensus that people can't wear gold, and that, and he says that, you know, that this is a debate. I do accept, though, that the general culture has gone with the understanding that men don't wear gold and they don't wear silk. I have explained that the origin of this ruling, where it emerges from. And that was because during the Prophet's lifetime, the lifestyle of the Arabs was a warrior lifestyle. They were, if anything, akin to like what you had later on, the Viking lifestyle. They were very much like that. They lived off raiding, that was kind of Arabia. They weren't an agricultural people. And it all depended on the warriors, the fightingness, that ability, that kind of culture pervaded. This was even before Islam came. So in those societies, what brings value is the ability to kind of be war ready if a war was to break out. Hence the Prophet, not just the Prophet, people in general relied on these kind of characteristics. Now, during the Prophet's lifetime in Medina was attacked and potentially attacked on several occasions. And the Prophet himself was attacked on several occasions, and people were attacked. So the Prophet had a safeguarding duty to make sure that people were on standby. They were on alert. And they couldn't afford, it wasn't the time to live a life of luxury, even though some people did have luxuries. And the Prophet did dissuade a life of luxury for people. But that was the call of the time. You know, the Prophet said a time will come when you will see luxury, but that day is not today. Like today, we need to be alert. We need to be on standby. and rightly so, because they were attacked, there were people that died, there were these things. So things like men wearing silk, and it was seen as a very kind of it was seen as two things in that culture. It was one, seen as luxury, and two, a bit effeminate. So the Prophet dissuaded this. He kind of dissuaded them, and he said, look, don't wear silk and don't wear gold, because these were seen as kind of like, one, womanly, feminine attributes, and two, they seem to take away from that culture that the men needed. So that's why the Prophet said that. That is my understanding, and there are many scholars that have said that, and I do accept that, although many scholars have gone with the ruling that these things are haram, but this is the kind of origin and how this ruling emerged. So, and I've got a lengthier video explaining that, so you can watch that there. Right, now we're right at the end. Ninth, imitating non-Muslims is haram. I've got a whole video explaining this, that look, Muslims today using this in a ridiculous manner. This is a modern phenomenon that Muslims have started resorting to this ruling to say man tashabbaha biqawmin. In the past, Muslims were not that insecure. They were just absolutely fine. They did, they dressed as other people dressed. Ibn Hazm speaks about how he lived in Spain and dressed differently. You can see how Lisanuddin ibn al-Khatib, the great historian and adib and scholar, Maliki scholar from Muslim Spain, when he speaks of the Muslim kings in Al-Andalus, they all used to dress with the dress of the Christian kings. They used to dress in that style. They adopted that style. The Muslim kings of India, the Mughals and so on, used to dress like the Persian kings and so on. This wasn't like people just went with the culture. It wasn't. This thing is a modern phenomenon that Muslims have started to resort to. Don't copy the West. This doesn't, in the past, people weren't that freaked out. And this hadith, I've said in the past, and I've said today, that Muslims who use this are naively doing this, because this whole hadith, no Muslim or no mainstream Muslim accepts this hadith. Because it begins by saying things like, oh, that we must go and fight all non-Muslims, we must do this, nobody accepts that. And in fact, if you watch my clip called The War Wager Hadith Paradox, that why hadith dogmatism is paralyzed and gridlocked by that paradox I present. It's on YouTube, you can check that out. But this is wrongly used. I agree with Abdullah Sameer that it's a ridiculous ruling, but it's wrongly used, and it's actually a modern interpretation that recently Muslims have used to come back at modernity with. So what's happened is, when modernity has arrived, Muslims have got confused, and they've kind of tried to dig deeper, and they've used certain things, rulings, to kind of reinforce and validate themselves. And this has been one. Right, so, and the final one, people, and we'll kind of wrap it up with that: pants above ankles or hell. And this one quite naughty, this one having you dropping, raising. You don't know, should the pants go down or up? Should I drop them? Should I raise them? Confused. Right, so the whole thing, this is ridiculous as a ruling. First of all, Abdullah Sameer is right. Certain Muslims do make a big deal out of this, but this has not been historically the Islamic trend. Historically, Muslims like Ibn Abdul Bar, look, that's 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago has written in his Istidhkar, in his other books, that this ruling is simply referring to arrogance. It's referring to people who have a trend and they're trying to be arrogant with it. It does not refer to people who are just generally doing that. Imam Nawawi, reiterates the same thing that Ibn Abdul Bar said. That's like, we're talking over 800 years ago. You see, many scholars have said that. Ibn Hajar reiterates the same thing. So it's not fair to say that this is what Muslims have believed. But in the past, it is true that Muslim dress generally, as in the Eastern world today, has been like the izar. They wear the kind of sarong, and the sarong usually is worn a bit higher up, usually so for easy movement, right? For quick access. For quick movement. Yeah, these sickos, you know. I have some sickos tuning into me. Their minds wander, I tell you. Right? So they wear a sarong. And in recent times, they've obviously changed that to have more of the shalwar or the sirwal or whatever you want to call it, and then the trousers. But these things are absolutely fine. There's nothing to do with, scholars in the past have said. But you're right, today some scholars have started to reinforce this, especially the Salafis and some Hanafis. For some reason, they've kind of... some Hanafis kind of lost it a bit as well, but the other madhabs don't accept this, and historically they didn't accept this. So that's a response to these 10 things. I did want to speak about the Sana'a manuscript, but we've really gone on too late. I'll give a brief description and then I'll go into that inshallah next week. So just to sum this up, that look, these 10 rulings, a lot of them do exist in it. Oh right, did I miss one? Right, damn, I missed one out. Sorry. The divorce 3 times. I missed that out. That was number 4. If your wife divorces you 3 times, you cannot marry her again. If you divorce your wife, I've got a whole video on this explaining that that's not true, that many people have said you can, even right from the early days. And what was the context to this divorce thing? It was actually a safeguarding issue that got tilted and reversed and put on its head. That it actually came because the Arabs were oppressing. So what they would do is they would divorce the wife, and then they would say, okay, to punish her. And then when she was in her iddah, like a grace period, so she's not really fully married, she's kind of in that grace period, leaving. But when she would reach the end, they would just take her back, revoke it. And then she would be like, oh, okay. And then they would divorce her again. And then she would be in the grace period for another 3 menstrual cycles. Then they would take her back. And they would do this indefinitely, just to torture women. So they would be stuck. They can't remarry another man. And they're not really married to him. And Allah condemns that in the Quran. And He says, وَلَا تَذَرُوهُنْ. He says, do not leave them. Do not leave her. لَا تَذَرُوهَا كَالْمُعَلَّقَةِ. Do not leave them just suspended like that. Like إِمْسَاكُمْ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ. That's a verse of the Quran. Either hold on to them in kindness or let them go gracefully. Do not do this. So then what the Quran introduced was to say, okay, you've only got 3 talaqs now. And then I tell you what, if you divorce her, you cannot even remarry her again. Why? Because you can't play these games with these women. And this ruling came actually as a great relief to the women. And it came as a safeguarding. What happened is this got twisted on its head with time. Then some Muslim men, like idiots, started to say, talaq, 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 talaq. Oh my God, I've said 3 talaqs. Oh my God, what do I do? And then the woman's like, oh my God. And she's suffering. And now this talaq thing has just become another curse. But the ruling in the Quran was not like that. But today, some people, you're right, Muslim culture, unfortunately, has kind of resulted in people doing things like this. Yet many people have provided solutions, even right in the past. Look, right from the Tabi'een, the son-in-law of Abu Huraira, Sa'id ibn Musayyib, one of the indirect teachers of Imam Malik, one of the great fuqaha of the school of Madinah. His fatwa back then was a woman. He said here about, unless a woman has sexual intercourse. Why was this said? Now, this was simply said at the time to show that, look, there is no going back. That meaning she will go. That's it. This isn't a game. You know, you can't just kind of say, but some people even oppose this thing right at the beginning, like people like Sa'id ibn Musayyib, who said that's not true. He said that. I mean, he's from the Tabi'een. So you do have this, and he was called the greatest of the Tabi'een. And one of the greatest hadith narrators of this ummah. He said that's not true. So you do have that dissent, But I do accept that, although many ulama accepted it, they did say that's not true. Many amongst them said it's all about safeguarding. And if there was maslahah, if people did it by accident or they did it out of anger, then many of them said that talaq don't count. Amongst the early Malikis, Qadi Ismail, you've got people like Ibn Ashur, the great Maliki legend. You've got people like Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah in between, Ibn Taymiyyah, many other people in between saying things like, look, if it was out of anger, it doesn't count. They've said a lot of these things. So let's be fair. Like, look, yes, there is a huge breadth of opinions and the solution is there as well. But I do agree with Abdullah Sameer that there is a lot of ignorance, unfortunately, amongst Muslims. And that's amongst many people, many religious followers. And many Muslims have got caught in the sectarian kind of turf wars going on. So their scholars will sometimes tell them, this is haram, you can't do this, you have to marry her off. And they're really just doing it to defend their kind of sectarian opinion. And, you know, it's so wrong what these people are doing. I agree with Abdullah Sameer on that part. That, you know, it's wrong what these people are doing, what these Mulvis and scholars push just to a sectarian narrative, just to get their group. They screw over the lives of many people. It's horrible to see. I spoke just the other day to somebody who, you know, and I speak to, whenever I'm speaking to people that, you know, this one couple, their lives have been ruined because of this, you know, because he said talaq and you know, he was angry. And I said to them, look, this is fine. You know, you can get back together. But it's, and they want to get back together, but now the girl's family are saying no, because we have been told by this Maulana there's no room for you to get back together, so you better not get back together, and this and that, and placing unnecessary pressure. It is wrong, people. It is wrong to intervene in the lives of others, even if they are your kin, right? Do not, you know, if it's your sister, if it's your daughter, if it's your whoever, right? You cannot impose. Allah says, وَلَا تَعْدُلُوهُنَّ. You cannot prevent them or kind of control them in their matters of nikah. And Allah says that, وَلَا تَعْدُلُوهُنَّ, in the matter of their nikah. That's in Surah Baqarah. Right, so, but I do accept that, unfortunately, especially in the Indo-Pak world, there is, I don't think this is cross-cultural throughout the Muslim world as a whole. I think it's a lot less in the Arab world. It does happen, but it's a lot less. In other parts like Turkey, in other parts like Malaysia, it's not, I don't think it's as bad. But in places like India, Pakistan, this is quite horrendous. And, you know, and may Allah grant the people enlightenment, may He grant these victims ease wherever they are. And we really just need education. But so, although I agree with the ignorance and the culture of what Abdullah Sameer has highlighted, but this is not what Islam has just said. Islam gave a ruling based on a situation. There have been many, there's many solutions with that ruling that many ulama have said, like beginning with Sa'id ibn Musayyib, who said that hadith's not even true like that. That's not true. Women don't need to, you know, have things. To other rulings, like there is no talaq in anger. There is a hadith for that. It's in Abu Dawud, la talaqa fi ighlaq. It's a hadith, right? That many people, Qadi Ismail, other people defended that, right? So you've got that ruling there. You've got the fact that 3 talaqs can still count as one. Many people champion that. Ibn Ashur speaks about it. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, Ibn Taymiyyah. So many books have been written on it. But just because this is a Salafis have championed this kind of these rulings, so other sects have started to bash this ruling just to get back at the Salafis and the Wahhabis. But I feel that's wrong, because the casualties of this theological warfare, the casualties of this war are the common public, the common man and woman who simply just want to save their marriages. So, right, so may Allah make things easy for this. This is my response to these 10 questions. I hope it's been of some help. Guys, as always, right, I'll just answer one quick question because it's linked. Somebody said Abdullah Sameer Sahib made up a surah Makh in the Quran. It went off by Surah Faqaf. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Right. Yeah, look, as in the letter Fa and then Qaf, as in like that. to spell the word, like either to say as fa qaf or I take it, yeah, like, look, this is my thing. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I don't advocate people, you know, being inflammatory or saying things that, you know, that they know will just, like, the only objective is to just insult and hurt. That's the only objective. I don't support that. I discourage that. I discourage any kind of hate speech or anything that leads to hate speech. In general, I'm saying, I mean, sometimes some people might say things, but in general, okay. That said, I do believe that people have the right to satirize and ridicule beliefs they don't believe in. I will uphold that right of theirs as a right. Like, if you didn't believe in something and you wanted to show something absurd about it and you want to satirize it, I feel because you don't believe in it, you have that right. I don't think it's necessarily the sensible thing to do, although we all probably do it at some point or another. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't support hypocrisy. I'm just being honest and real. That said, I think we as Muslims should have, you know, our faith should be strong enough. You know, if somebody said, look, I made this about the Quran, you know, looks, yeah, the joke and laugh, if he's trying to be funny, you know, whatever, like if you find it a bit funny or you don't. But I don't think we need to shake or tremble or think, oh my God, we need to kill this person, or oh my God, time to shut up, or you know, just relax. You know, I quoted earlier on a scholar, Uthman ibn Abi Shayba, who's the brother of the great Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, the great muhaddith. Uthman, who I said was a weak narrator, people said he fabricated hadith, and some people said he didn't know the Quran. And the reason they used to say that is because he used to not mock, but he used to joke about verses of the Quran, and it's known about him. And he, by the way, is still, Bukhari still accepted him despite all these things. And you actually have his jokes about the Quran, and he used to make some of these jokes, like twist letters around in the Quran and make it sound a bit make it sound like, what the hell, you know, like, for example, this is just one coming to the top of my head that he said, like, there's a verse in the Quran, وَضُرِبَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِسُورٍ لَهُ بَابٍ, that on the day of judgment they will that there is a fence that is struck between them, as in the hypocrites and other people, and it has a door. ضُرِبَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِسُورٍ لَهُ بَابٍ. And he read it as, because obviously the dots back then was still a bit, he read it as بِسِنُورٍ لَهُ نَابٍ. Like, Sanur is a wild cat, that there will be a wild cat that has a fang. A nab is like a fang, yeah, like the canine. And he would do this a lot with the verses of the Quran. Hence, people, you know, you got all these issues with. But he was a Muslim, and he was actually a great scholar as well at the same time. And he was a brother of, you know, what is it? The great muhaddith, Ibn Abi Shayba, Abu Bakr, and he's also one of the narrators that Bukhari and Muslim rely on. But what I'm trying to say is, people, look, let's not be insecure. If people want to, you know, sticks and stones, people. Sticks and stones. Okay, look, it's okay if they mock us, you know, and if you laugh, I'm just saying, if somebody said something and it was funny and you laughed at it, it doesn't mean you've committed kufr. Right, just relax. But you don't need to, like, if you get offended by it, okay, but I would say, look, just let people be. If they want to say something, if they want to mock it, okay. I mean, my faith ain't that insecure. You know, if people want to crack a joke about Islam, crack it. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Like, my faith is not that weak that I'm going to get all, I'm going to need to, you know. It's all right, man. It's all right. You know, there's, what is it? जो शाख से टूट कर गिर पड़े वो पत्ते नहीं हैं हम. You know, those leaves that just shake and they fall off a tree, we're not these. That's not us. इन आंधियों से कह दो जरा औकात मेरे. That tell these storms who they're messing with. You know, this is not this is not, I know that can be used the other way as well, but it can also be used to show a sense of self-confidence. Guys, I hope this has been of some help, inshallah. We've really gone on quite a bit today, inshallah. take very good care of yourselves. As always, much love, man. Love you guys. Love you, yeah. Right, so, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.